Hey guys, or to quote one of my favorite YouTubers who sadly has passed away, name was Dolores Chapman, also known as Tiptoe Chick. You can still see her videos on YouTube, but I wanted to start off by saying hey Tube, in honor of her because she was awesome. And for me, this video is about keeping it real. Um, I've been on twin flame groups for the past probably around a year now, ish. So probably about around, yeah, about a year. Um, and there's a lot there that needs to just, to put it simply, it's a mess. There's a lot I could speak on, but for today, I actually just want to talk on personal space. So one of the things that underlines the twin flame expression, we'll put it, or journey, is this idea of telepathic communication between twins. And it's all well and good. Sure, you have your connection. And yes, sometimes you can communicate feelings and thoughts with your twin telepathically. But I saw a post the other day that was talking about, do you argue with your twin telepathically? And I thought to myself, isn't that basically like trespassing? Can you not give your twin space, personal space? Can you not honor their personal space? Like this whole thing about, oh yeah, we're super connected. Yeah, great, you are. But can you not give someone the basic human respect, personal space? If you're arguing with your twin, or if they're arguing with you telepathically, they are intruding. Unless you've given them permission. It's trespassing. It's mental, emotional trespassing. And so, yeah, all right, you might think it's funny. You might think it's cute, even. And God knows there's many of you out there that probably think it's cute. But it is trespassing. It is crossing a boundary. I've never been one for psychic powers. I've never been one for telepathy or, whatever. To be honest, the whole concept drives me a bit nuts. But it comes back to boundaries. Comes back to boundaries. And sorry, guys, I've been eating lasagna, and it's great. It's my breakfast. I didn't have it last night for dinner, so I thought, you know what, that can be my breakfast for this morning. So I got meat and stuff and pasta stuck in my teeth a little bit. That's all right. Doesn't matter. It is what it is. But yeah, can we not have basic respect for each other? It kind of ties into the whole, oh no, my twin has a partner and I really hope they break up and blah, blah, blah. No. The twin flame journey isn't about that. Union is, dare I paraphrase Gandalf here, simply another door we must walk through. It's not the be all, it's not the end all, it's merely a step along the path. And if you're not at union yet, kind of honestly, kind of celebrate it in a way. I don't like, obviously, everyone wants to be in union, but celebrate the fact that you're not, because when you get into union, there's a lot of unknown behind that door. You get to union, and suddenly you go, oh shit, what's next? Yeah, union is great, but there's a lot there that needs to be unraveled. There's a lot there. God, there's so much I want to cover here. So yeah, twin flames. Got to keep it real, guys. You've got to get your head out of the clouds. It's not a matter of going higher and higher and higher. It's about going deeper. And so many people put twin flame on this kind of pedestal that it's better than any other spiritual path, and it's not. It's just a different expression. It's a different expression. And for a lot of people, it's not their expression, and that's fine. Doesn't mean that if you're on the twin flame journey, you're better than anyone. Doesn't mean you're more enlightened. It just means you are expressing spirit in your own way. Even with like the whole karmic twin flame thing, karmic partners are not bad. They're not the devil. I see so many posts where twin flames paint out karmics to be evil and horrible and, you know, less than, and they're not. They teach us valuable lessons, lessons that we need. And through those relationships, we teach ourselves lessons as well. And hopefully, we've given them something as well, something to reflect on, something to remember, even if that is, well, we completely did that entire relationship wrong and we were complete douchepantsers. But yeah, no, karmics aren't bad. They're not evil. They're not the devil. They just are what they are. They are their own expression of spirit. And really, we can kind of say that all relationships are karmic in their way. Even twin flames, because the concept of karmic relationships is that we are resolving past karma. I had a really good spiritual brother, and I say had because our contract, our karmic cycle is fulfilled, and we completed everything we need to complete. But it was that, and it was a 6-year karmic cycle. Well, no, it was 6.5 years. And you know, I've noticed in the past, like 2019, we're almost at the end of it, so we're almost at the end of a decade. And this year has been about resolving and accepting that there were certain karmic cycles in my life connected to past lives that needed resolving, and they're wrapped up now. And I'm really glad they are. Can't say it was the best resolution for some of them, but you know, it is what it is. I kind of think that the twin flame community doesn't quite understand karma, and a lot of people have this concept of karma in their heads, that karma is this kind of like a devil. It's not a devil, it's not an entity, it's a process. So what you do, the decisions you make will have an outcome. In Wicca and that, you know, they have the threefold law. So what you give out comes back to you 3 times. I don't believe that. I hold to more the Buddhist understanding, which is it's a continual process and quite impossible to quantify, because a really big action might have a very small outcome, and a very small outcome or a very small action might have a very big outcome. And so it's hard to quantify. So I don't really hold to the threefold law. But I do it's karma isn't an entity sitting over you judging you. What karma is a process. What you put out has a result. The result might be good or bad or neutral, depending on your attitude when the outcome hits. You might be in a really shit place when the outcome hits, and it might completely cut you off at the knees. Or you might be in a really good place, and it's a huge, devastating outcome, but you might be able to handle it really well. So I'm not one for quantifying the outcome of karma. And I think that the whole quantification of karma has kind of come down to people's need to control. In a way, the threefold law to me in Wicca and other pagan traditions seems a bit like sin. It's kind of a tool to beat people up with. So, first, well, to reiterate, firstly, twin flame relationships are not better than any other spiritual path. Yes, they are unique. Yes, they are special to us who are on them, like a lot of meaning to it, but doesn't mean you're more evolved or less evolved than anyone else. We're all made of the same basic materials of the universe that have existed from the beginning and will exist until the end. So being a twin flame doesn't mean you're better than anyone. It doesn't mean you're worse than anyone either. It's just one of many paths that you are walking. Kind of really wish people would like get that through their heads, because I see all too often a person on one of the groups on Facebook asked the other day, so what does a twin flame mean to you? And someone was like, well, that I always knew I was special. Yeah, we're all special. We're all special. We're all unique. We're all individual expressions of the whole. Doesn't mean you're better than anyone. Doesn't mean you're worse than anyone either. And that's what in Buddhism, in the Sutta Nipata, which is the oldest of the Pali texts, Buddha says, don't put yourself above anyone or below anyone or even equal with anyone. There is just like, no, stop those comparisons. Stop putting twin flame above karmic. Stop putting soulmate above karmic. Stop putting twin flame above soulmate. They're all different expressions, and they're all equally magical and spiritual in their own way. So many of the twin flame communities I see, they have the same questions repeated over and over and over again. Why did my twin hurt me? Well, maybe because you're constantly like intruding on them, or maybe because you're just not meant to be with them at this time. And I'm not just talking this lifetime. Sometimes you have to wait lifetimes. When I think of my old spiritual brother, who I now no longer speak to, we waited we bounced lifetimes together, and we both know that. But I think the last lifetime we actually had together was in like the 1930s or something like that. Like, we had to wait a good 60 years. And that included a lifetime in between, or 2 lifetimes in between. Like, sometimes you just don't get it in this lifetime. Sometimes you need to just bloody well be patient. I am privileged and lucky and fortunate that my twin has returned to me in this life. I'm very fortunate that we've worked through a lot of stuff, and I'm very fortunate that we're back together and engaged. Very fortunate. He's a good bloke, a far better bloke than I am in many respects. But yeah, I'm very fortunate. I just saw the time. It's 9:11 a.m. here in Adelaide, and it just reminded me of a conversation I was having with my nephew yesterday. But anyway, yeah, no. So it's you guys, you got to keep it real. You got to stop like bullshitting. There are so many twin flame people in the community that have a conniption fit every time something doesn't work out for them. You know what? Life isn't fair. I'm going to quote Scar here from The Lion King. Life isn't fair all the time. You can't control other people's actions. All you can control is how you act or react to a situation. If your twin wants to run off and have an affair or be with someone else and chooses someone else over you, that's on them. You can't suddenly magic potion them into falling in love with you and leaving their wife and their 3 kids. No. Do you have the unconditional love for them truly to wish them the best even when they can't be with you? Can you do that? That's my challenge to you. Is this all just random obsession, you know? Oh, I need him with me. Oh, need her with me. Oh, he or she are with someone else, and I really wish they'd leave their wife and or husband and their kids and come and move in with me. And no. Firstly, you're not considering the partner. Secondly, you're not considering the kids. A breakup is like devastating for kids. Don't be a homewrecker. That's like just stupid bad. So yes, I think that the twin flame community, and especially going into 2020, needs to drop a lot of the immaturity, a lot of the childishness, a lot of the stupidity. Just drop it, guys. So many of you, paint yourselves up as super spiritual and you focus so much on the spiritual stuff. You know what? Sometimes it's not all about going into extra dimensions or all the meditation journeys, or it's not about knowing all your chakras or your astrology or your runes. Sometimes it's actually just about having some basic damn respect for people, their boundaries, and to stop trying to manipulate, in many cases, people's responses to you. The problem is, and this is the underlying problem with all religions, what we've done is we've painted humanity up to be either extra special than animals or never good enough. So we use earthly life, our physical life, as a kind of a jumping board, a springboard to get to spirit. So we're always looking towards heaven or nirvana or enlightenment or ascension, whatever you want to call it. And we actually don't cherish and acknowledge and respect the life we have here. Humanity is, well, firstly, an animal, but secondly, the physical life is not separate from the spiritual life. It's all connected. It's all interwoven. It's meshed up together. I don't know if anyone's ever danced the maypole, but you've got the two different colored ribbons, and they dance around each other and they tangle each other up and they get all really messy and really difficult to undo. But that's the physical life and spirit. They're not separate things, they are connected. Your humanity is spirit. Your humanity is spirit. And I kind of wish more people would get that. And I will admit, it's taken me a long time to accept it as well, because I used to be like that as well. I'd be like, oh, you know, humanity's evil, blah blah blah. Oh, you know, gotta run away from it. Gotta be an Uber monk and run away from it all. No, the spiritual life is right here, right now. It's not heaven. Heaven is earth. Earth is heaven. So is hell. We create them. We live them. Yeah, we've got to stop splitting ourselves between the physical and the spiritual, because they are connected. They're not separate. They've never been separate. Any shaman or ancient elder will tell you that when they look at a table or a chair, they see spirit in it. Everything has spirit. Everything is spirit, and spirit is everything. There is no separation. And I feel the need to quote from one of my favorite cartoons, probably my favorite cartoon, Avatar: The Last Airbender, where Guru Patik says, "The greatest illusion of this world is the illusion of separation. Things you think are separate and different are actually one and the same. The spiritual life," end quote, with one and the same, end quote. The spiritual life, this is me now, is inseparable from the spiritual life. You are a mother or a father, you go to work, you look after your kids, you do the gardening. That's spiritual. That's spiritual. You open new doors for yourself, you start a new relationship, that's spiritual. You end a relationship, that's spiritual. You wake up in the morning, that's spiritual. You do the dishes, that's spiritual. It's all spiritual. There is no separation. And I kind of wish that, well, I hope that more and more people on the spiritual path, regardless of their religious connections or symbolic connections, can recognize that. I'm actually going to quote Benny Hinn here, who is an evangelist, often criticized because he's super wealthy and he's meant to be a super spiritual healer, and a lot of people are like, well, he's just lying and, you know, it's all orchestrated. But he did put out a wonderful quote. He goes, "Don't you know that you are the temple of the Holy Ghost? Don't look for Jesus in the aisles. Don't look for Jesus, you know, somewhere else. You are Christ. You are the expression of Christ, the Holy Spirit, God, Source, whatever you want to call it, divinity, Goddess." I think it's one of the things that Hinduism got right. In Hinduism, we all have the Atman, which is a spark of divinity. We all have it. We're all connected in that respect. And I think that people need to remember that and stop trying to, well, lower others and paint themselves up as super awesome special, because we're all super awesome special. We're all unique, necessary, and we all have our own power. To end off, there was another conversation on one of the spiritual pages I'm part of. I don't think it was a twin flame group, but one of the other ones, and it was about, well, negative entities. And I've written a lot about this over the years because I think that kind of comes back to that old saying of what you, how does it go? What you resist persists. So, as an example, if I was to say to someone, I curse you, didn't mean to say I actually did a curse on them, but if I was to say to someone, or someone said to me, they've cursed me, doesn't matter whether or not they did, and I believe they cursed me, if I overthink it, if I get wrapped up in the fear of it, I'm actually attracting that negativity to me. So the best way to stop a negative entity is to not feed it. The concept of shunyata from Buddhism helps me a lot with these kind of things, because I used to curse myself a lot, and I used to get attached to various conflicts within myself, but recognizing that in the end it's all just that concept. They only have as much substance as we let them have, or as much as we give them. So stop giving people stop giving these entities substance. Stop feeding these negative intrusions, whatever they are, even if they are from another person. As soon as they fling something at you, if you obsess over it and worry about it, you're actually allowing it to happen to you. Stop letting people take advantage of you. We're all made of the same universe. We all have the same amount of power. Only some of us don't quite realize it. And then others of us take advantage of that, of people's ignorance. Like, think of it. If you could summon all the power of the universe in a moment, what could mess with you, light or dark? What could honestly harm you? Obviously, we are bound by physical bodies, so we have that limitation. But I'm speaking spiritually. There are so many ascended people out there, so many enlightened people out there that freak out about being spiritually attacked. If you're so damn enlightened, what the hell could hurt you? Like, honestly. But, I do get it, because I used to be like that too. I used to be very paranoid about what could spiritually hurt me, until I realized I am the universe. And fuck it. There have been times when, and very rare times, when I've been watching another spiritual person abuse others, and I've had to use meditative skills, powers, whatever you want to call it, to stop them. Now, the problem was, they thought they were a god. It was a very limited god. And I've gone, well, you're one god of many, and we're all the universe, so to kind of trump you. The thing is, that's another thing about the whole ascension path. The angels, the archangels, the guides, the ascended masters, whatever you want to call them, they don't stop learning. They haven't reached the top of the mountain. In fact, there is no mountain. We are reborn. We go through different lifetimes. yes, we may have reached our last lifetime on Earth in the life that we understand as human, or animal, or plant. Doesn't mean we don't stop learning. We are made of the same stuff that formed the universe. So we were here from the very beginning, and our molecules, our atoms, our spirit will keep changing and transforming and recycling and whatever you want to call it, and until the very end. We will keep learning. It's the same with teachers like Christ, Buddha, or Siddhartha, if you want to call him, Gandhi, um, uh, Martin Luther King. You know, the lessons don't stop. The angels are still learning. The gods and goddesses are still learning. The guides are still learning. It was one of the very first lessons that Ariane Rod gave me years ago. She's like, you've got these mythological stories about me. And in those stories, she was quite a spiteful, angry, vengeful woman. But as she said to me, it's been a couple of 100 years. She's been up the woozah with the rest of the spirit guides, as if she hasn't learned from those mistakes. Like, we learn. Same with Sia, Osiris. He's learned a lot. Assets, Khnum, Kernos, Thor, Odin, Frigg, Merlin. They've all learned, and they keep learning. Michael, Sandalphon, Metatron. The lessons don't stop, guys. Just because they're ascended in our limited human understanding of the word doesn't mean they don't stop learning. Kuan Yin, Amitabha. I think what we've done is we've painted up Ascension to be a kind of a bit like heaven and a bit like Nirvana, enlightenment, which again is just kind of ridiculous. It's not an end game thing. You don't suddenly hit Ascension or enlightenment or heaven and stop learning. You hit that, and then you can come back and help others get to where you are. But it's only one stop along the way. What comes after Ascension? I have no idea. Quite frankly, I don't care. A lesson's a lesson. A lesson is a lesson. I really wish people would remember that. A lesson is a lesson. So yeah, a bit of a ramble this morning, guys. I'm going to finish my lasagna. It's probably cold again. I have to reheat it for the second time. But yeah, I also think that if you're Christian and you think that going to heaven is the end of it, no. No, it's not the end of it. I want to give a shout out to one of my favorite teachers, Amanda Ellis. She's amazing, of Angelic Celestial Colors. She's a color therapist, a Metatron healer. She's got a lovely deck of cards, the Archangel Metatron Self-Mastery deck, which I do have, but it's out in my room. It's like amazing. The artwork's brilliant. The messages are beautiful. The book that comes with it is stunning. But I want to give a shout out to her and again to Dolores Chapman, Tiptoe Chick. I was very sad to hear of Tiptoe Chick's passing. She was one of the first Wiccan, eclectic pagans I had ever listened to on YouTube back in the day, and she kept it real, guys. And I think that's what we need to we need to keep it real. We need to stop getting our hearts and souls and minds tangled up in all these million concepts that we don't really authentically need. Like, I understand my astrology, I understand retrograde, I understand full moons. Does that mean I need it all the time? No. No. It's like when I was part of the Druid community, I was doing the Bardic course, and it was a beautiful course with the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids, and it was beautiful and wonderful. But I had a lot of friends who would over philosophize everything, very deep thinkers, and I used to be very much the same as well. You know, I would look at symbols, and I still do this occasionally. I look at symbols and I overanalyze these things. And the reason I stopped and the reason I kind of stepped away from all that group was it was just too much philosophizing, too much symbolism, too much looking at things too deeply. Sometimes you just have to just live. It's like the other night I was out walking and I saw an owl. Well, no, an owl kind of must have thought I was intruding on its space because it kept flying over me, screeching at me. And I went home and I got home and typed up what the meaning of owl was, and you know, it's like all change and death and transformation and blah 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 blah. Maybe I just stumbled across an owl's nest without realizing it was there. Maybe it's just an owl, guys. Don't get me wrong, I was privileged to have seen it because I don't see owls very often. I know of an owl couple that live down the street. They live in a tree near the aged care residency. But yeah, no, I was surprised to see it where I was, which is down by the guides hall. But still, it's an owl, guys. So I no longer try and look at the symbolism every time a raven flies past, even though it is one of my power animals. Because there are ravens around here. They live here. I was a bit amused when I saw a grey heron the other day because I haven't seen them in a couple of years, and the lake where they usually hang out has been dried up for a long time. But you know, Gandalf said it. No, not Gandalf. Belgarath said it right. Wait a minute. I'm going to try and find this quote. Give me a sec. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. So this is from Belgarath, from David Eddings, who's one of my favorite authors. So he says, when you know that something's going to happen, you'll start trying to see signs of its approach in just about everything. Always try to remember that most of the things that happen in this world aren't signs. They happen because they happen, and their only real significance lies in normal cause and effect. You will drive yourself crazy if you start trying to pry the meaning out of every gust of wind or rain squall. I'm not denying that there might actually be a few signs that you won't want to miss. Knowing the difference is the tricky part. And for me, that quote, you know, every time on the Twin Flame communities, every time someone's like, oh my God, I saw 11:11. Yeah, because you probably subconsciously trained yourself to look at the time at that exact time, or wake up at that time, or notice that number because you're looking for it, so you notice it more. So every time I love the number 4 because I have 4 fingers. So I notice the number 4. It's my favorite number, so I notice it. Like now, coming up 40 minutes on a talk. Geez, see, it's that simple. When we really want something, we find it. So, you know, and I think with guides and power animals and whatnot, if they want your attention, they will let you know. They will let you know. They're not stupid. They know how to tick your buttons. They know how to nudge you enough that you'll go, oh shit, that's a bit weird. It's like a dream I had a couple of months ago. It was actually quite a beautiful dream where I was in like India, or I think it was India, somewhere in there, in a village. People were playing around with dyes and, you know, dyeing shirts and mixing up the powders and, you know, getting it ready to color things. And I got painted by these by a baby elephant in the dream, and it was very surreal. It also felt like home. So if a totem animal, power animal, a spirit guide, whatever, if they want your attention, they will drop in. Like, they will make it obvious. So instead of maybe chasing after symbols, you just need to let them come to you. It's the same with past life stuff. I've got friends that have been obsessed with their past lives, and they go, you know, I can't do this because of this past life, and I want to do this because of this past life. Every past life recollection I've had has not been through a past life regression. None of them. They've come to me either through meditation or dreams, usually just dreams or random sparks of insight. And I've not gone looking for them, they've come to me. Basically kicked down the front door and went, here we are. We have to stop chasing after the 1111. We have to stop chasing after the numbers. We have to stop chasing after the astrology. We have to stop chasing after past lives or the power animal or the spirit guides or whatever. And we just need to bloody well live. And the things we need, I genuinely believe, will just come to us. I'm not saying don't, like, you know, work on things to better yourself, but often we spend so much time chasing after things that we don't actually live, and we lose so much of our lives chasing things. So many good moments that we can't remember because we've been too busy chasing after this or that sign, when we could have our contentment and our happiness right here and now. Anyway, it's coming up on the 4-4 mark. Ooh. Symbolism is good, guys, but sometimes we attach to it too strongly. I've gotten a lot better at my numerology lately, and you know, I'm going to be putting out my crystals under the full moon this afternoon. But we can hold on to all those things far too tightly. It doesn't matter if you miss a full moon. It doesn't matter if Mercury is in retrograde for the 10 billionth time. It doesn't matter. Because guess what? Mercury will keep going into retrograde and we'll keep living our same lives over and over and over again. I'm actually more used to, I'm actually more surprised when Mercury isn't in retrograde, to be honest. I'm at that point. I'm just like, yeah, oh my God, Mercury isn't in retrograde. Oh, heavens forbid. What do I do? Freak out. Eat my remaining thumb. But we've got to keep it real, guys. We have to stop panicking. Socially, the world is in a pretty shit place at the moment. I'm not going to lie. Keeping it real. I'm not going to lie. Australia has a complete butthead of a prime minister. America is going down the gurgler with its whole presidency race. Looks like a rather lovely mess there. UK have their election coming up, and I do wish them the best of luck with that. I know I've got a few UK friends over here in Australia that are very worried about it, and the whole Brexit mess has been a mess. A predictable mess, but still a mess. So yeah, keep it real, guys. Before I sign off, I just want to give a nod to Archangel Sandalphon, who has become one of my main guides over the past year or so. I know that Amanda Ellis worked a lot with Archangel Metatron, but I tend to work with Archangel Sandalphon, which is kind of cool. He's obviously the symbolic brother of Metatron, and he's a very gentle, grounded archangel. I also want to give a nod to Khnum, the crafter god of ancient Egypt. Yeah, he's really good. He's a gentle guide. What do I want to wrap up with? A quick poem by David White. Enough. These few words are enough. If not these words, this breath. If not this breath, this sitting here, this opening to the life we have refused, again and again, until now. Until now. Live your life, guys. Don't squander it chasing after things. Be open to them coming to you. If there are things you need, they will come to you. Stop chasing things. Namaste, guys. Namaste, Synapti. Be well. Love and light. Cheers.